Several entities came together to remove graffiti-covered debris from Paint Creek. The reaction from members of the community may surprise you. Oakland County officials and animal lovers celebrated the grand opening of the new Pet Adoption Center with a ribbon-cutting ceremony. The Chamber of Commerce brought together local businesses and the community during its annual Shop Local Expo at the high school. And the Lake Orion Dragons traveled to Oxford, and the battle for the 00 trophy will have highlights coming up. Hello, I'm Joe Johnson. I'll have those stories and more coming up on this edition of ONTV News. Lake Orion has a fascinating history that dates back to the early 1800s, when the remnants of one of the area's first sawmills were recently removed from Paint Creek for environmental reasons. There was a surprising backlash from some members of the community. As you walk or bike on the Paint Creek Trail near Kern and Clarkston Roads, a marker reminds visitors of the history of the area. One of Lake Orion's first sawmills was built on the site in 1825 to cut lumber and to ground wheat into flour. A decade later, several additional buildings were constructed. In 1865, it was purchased by Robert G. Rudd and became Rudd's Mill. The buildings were demolished in 1926, and the creek dam was destroyed during a storm in 1946. The remains of the dam sat in Paint Creek for decades. The large concrete slabs became a hangout for teens who covered them with graffiti. In September, numerous entities came together and did what many thought was impossible. They removed the rubble from Paint Creek, making the state-owned land pristine once again.
It was probably 2 years in the works, and it started as a conversation with Aaron Watley and myself. We started bringing the other partners and players in. We're actually technically on state land, so the DNR had to be involved. We have a waterway here, so the Department of Environmental Quality, the DEQ, had to be involved. So it started as a conversation, like I said, almost 2 years ago, and finally kind of all the parties came together to make this happen, what we're looking at today.
Right behind us is Paint Creek. It's one of Southeast Michigan's only remaining cold water trout streams. We've been to this site, the Clinton River Watershed Council, among other partners, Trout Unlimited, Orion Township, others that have done cleanups throughout the years here and gave a lot of attention to picking up. And we always find spray paint bottles, paint cans, tons of garbage in this area, and it's just really kind of sad to see within such a nice stream and rare resource that we have those type of impacts still, and people leaving the paint cans and then the years of paint on those rocks themselves, and what's that doing to the watershed.
Surprisingly, once it was announced that the debris had been removed by Superior Excavating, many people in the community responded with outrage, claiming the parties involved had destroyed history and even called the profanity-covered concrete art.
Certainly you're going to get contaminants from paint that are leaching into the water and can have an effect on fish, both causing issues with reproduction or anything like that. So over a long period of time, with continual leaching of those contaminants, they could certainly have effects on the population.
I understand this was an area that they were very passionate about. I grew up in Lake Orion. I went to Lake Orion High School. I have ties with down here as well. I didn't come down here and spray paint and do all the other things like some people do, but I still have ties with it. And I understand you're passionate, but it's an environmental hazard and concern that we needed to address, not just for one person, but for the masses. Whatever happens up here affects people downstream, and we need to take care of our portion, hoping that everybody else will contribute to theirs.
I mean, that's the very first conversation we had, was the history of Rudd's Mill and the dam, and there's a historical marker that has also been recently defaced. That's right at the trailhead here, Clarkston and Kern Road. You can see, and it talks about the Rudd's Mill dam and the history of it. So we certainly want to embrace that. We actually thought that the DNR and the state would want us to leave some aspects of it, but they realized the danger that this was, and all the negatives to this, and basically said, look, the pictures and the historic marker are enough to remember what this dam was about. We don't need to keep the debris in the river. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we didn't have a working dam here. We had a bunch of concrete that had fallen into the creek that was blocking the flow of water and was becoming an attractant for some of the wrong reasons, and that was hurting the stream. So we feel very confident that we have remembered the history of the dam in a good, tasteful way, and you'll see those historical markers all around the state. And then we've reopened this stream up in a positive impact forever for the stream.
After removing the debris, precautions were taken to prevent the shore from eroding into the creek. The township also seeded the area with grass and will return in the spring to landscape the grounds. Well, not too long after the work was completed at the site, a group of middle school students gathered upstream to conduct a series of experiments to determine the health of Paint Creek. On Thursday, September 29th, 100 8th graders from Scripps Middle School gathered in Children's Park to gather data on Paint Creek. Normally, the students would assemble on the grounds near the Orion Arts Center, but due to sidewalk construction, they were forced to move to a new location. The students formed 6 different workstations to collect a wide variety of data.
One of the important ones is testing the chemical levels of the stream. That includes the phosphates, nitrates, pH, things like that. We look at the physical attributes of the stream, the width, the depth, the flow, if there's pollution, if the stream has any odors, colors, things like that. Students will be looking at the benthic macroinvertebrates, their favorite, picking out the bugs. The bugs tell us whether they are tolerating pollution or not tolerating pollution based on which species are living in the stream. And then we study the land use of the area around Lake Orion. So we look and see if there's farming that might contribute to the health of the stream, agriculture, businesses, and things like that. Okay. 2 other stations we have has to do with the historical data from our previous stream monitoring visits. So the students are analyzing that data from the stream flow, graphing the data, and doing some calculations with that. And then a new station this fall is a look at the history of Lake Orion. So students are reading an article about what Lake Orion was like in the late 1800s, and then doing a creative writing piece about the history of Lake Orion.
This has really changed my perspective on all the rivers that we have here.
Tell me what you've learned.
I've learned just so many different things. I've learned about the different types of things that live in the river and how we can protect them and take care of them.
Well, it's nice to know that over time that the river or the creek has stayed healthy and it's still healthy, and that I'm glad that we're protecting it as much as we can, trying to keep it healthy.
Over the past 13 years, Scripps 8th graders have been presenting their data to the Clinton River Watershed Council, who then incorporates the results in their annual report to the state of Michigan.
Well, the conditions are pretty stable. They've been stable, which is great for Lake Orion, and the river has typically been a good rating. Sometimes we find a little bit more trash if there's been more precipitation recently. New is the zebra mussels. When we first started doing this, there were no zebra mussels in the stream, and now there are. So that's the biggest change, but otherwise it gets a pretty good rating.
On July 14th, 2016, Oakland County broke ground on a new animal shelter to replace the location on Brown Road. 15 months later, the new building is open for business. On the morning of Wednesday, October 4th, Oakland County officials and pet lovers gathered in the lobby of the brand new Animal Shelter and Pet Adoption Center for a grand opening ceremony. Oakland County Executive L. Brooks Patterson welcomed visitors.
1, 2, 3. Hey! I wish these people could have seen the Brown Road facility. It was 40, 50 years old, out of date. There was a certain animal stench. It just wasn't what I want Oakland County to look like. So, and there were people who were complaining about it as well, and rightfully so. So we spent, I think, a fair amount of money, over $15 million, to build this state-of-the-art facility. And I think it shows that we're sincere about providing good quality care for the animals as we attempt to adopt them out. So if you take a look around, you'll see, I know, probably the best animal shelter in the United States.
This is what Oakland County deserves, what the animals of Oakland County deserve, and now we have it, and we expect the animals to be healthier. We expect our adoptions to go up, and we just can't say thank you enough to the people who put this together.
The 35,000 square foot facility cost over $15 million to build. Spacious dog kennels and cat condos, along with the state-of-the-art ventilation system, ensures a healthy environment for our furry friends. And a community room is available for meetings, classes, and other events.
We house the same number of animals, but it's a bigger building. So that gives you kind of the idea that the animals have a lot more space here than they did in the last. So we can house up to 150 dogs and 120 cats. Our adoption rate for cats is about 80%. We're trying to improve that through different ways of, education, that type of thing. And then our dogs usually runs anywhere from 85 to 90%. Save rate. So we feel as though we do really good. We still have improvement. I mean, there's always room for improvement. So hopefully with this state-of-the-art facility, we'll be able to get closer to that 100% that everybody's always trying to achieve.
The animal shelter will once again take part in the Empty the Shelters event, scheduled to take place on Saturday, October 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. On that date, the Bissell Pet Foundation offers to cover all pet adoption fees. For more information, visit oakgov.com/petadoption or call 248-858-1070. After 12 years of holding their Shop Local Expo in the spring, the Orion Area Chamber of Commerce moved the event to the fall, and the response from the community was tremendous. On Thursday, October 5th, 115 vendors set up in Lake Orion High School's field house for the Chamber's Shop Local Expo. The event was planned to coincide with the high school's parent-teacher conferences.
So our mission is to support the businesses that support our community. We like to bring the community in and introduce them to some of our members. A lot of these places, maybe don't have the foot traffic in their business that they would like to have, and this is a really great way to connect them with those people who might need their goods and services.
Vendors included service providers, nonprofit organizations, and local businesses who were allowed to sell merchandise for the first time. Visitors also enjoyed a wide variety of food samples.
I love doing expos with the Chamber. It gives a face to my brand. I love meeting people face to face, getting to share with them my product and let them know what I do and that I can create a sweet memory for them.
The Chamber of Commerce has this event each year. I believe this is the 5th year that we've done it. And it's such a great opportunity to not just be with people in the community, but be with all the other businesses in the community. So I think we do just as much networking as with customers, and it's awesome.
Several local restaurants took part in the Pizza Wars and Sandwich Slam. After the votes were tallied, it was announced that Firehouse Subs won the Sandwich Slam for the 2nd year in a row. Why do you take part in this event? What do you get out of it?
We just get to show everybody our food. That's what we want to do. It's fun showing up here. A lot of people haven't tried it before, and just talking with people. Some are our everyday customers, but a lot of people are just coming through and they haven't been to Firehouse yet.
The expo is one of many perks offered to members of the Chamber of Commerce. When new businesses open in the community, the Chamber usually welcomes them with a ribbon cutting ceremony. On September 14th, representatives of the Chamber gathered at Soggy Doggy on M24 to welcome the new business with a ribbon cutting ceremony.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go! I was not anticipating this amount of people showing up. I thought it was just going to be a couple friends and family, and then all of a sudden a lot of the community members came out, a lot of the chambers, friends and family. I'm just overwhelmed with the support. I hope it continues, and I hope it translates into a full parking lot.
Soggy Doggy opened its doors on June 1st and offers a variety of options for your pet's spa day, including full-service grooming and baths by appointment, and self-service washing and drying for a nominal fee. Visit soggydoggy.com for contact info. This is Soggy Doggy's 2nd location. The first one opened in Waterford in 2016.
Well, the Lake Orion location came about from my friend and business partner for this location, Bo Basevages, who also owns Forrester's Auto Wash up the road. And he came over to solve the idea, the concept, and wanted to try something different also. And he said, hey, what do you think about opening a second shop? And I said, hey, listen, it's only been 6 months. He goes, I think we can do it. Let's do it. Because it's close to the Bark Park. It's on 24. There's nothing like this in the area. And I thought we could meet a need in this side of town. And so we pulled the trigger and opened another shop.
2 weeks later, on September 28th, Chamber members assembled once again, but this time they didn't have to travel very far. Autumn Moon Aesthetics celebrated its official grand opening at their new location in downtown Lake Orion, a building that they share with the Chamber of Commerce.
There you go. Come on.
I love it. And actually that was one of the things when I found out this facility was open and that it was going to be right next to Kim and Carla and Jillian. I was so excited and I jumped on it, and it's been awesome. If I need to talk with them, I just knock on the door, and it's kind of like we have our secret little passageway back and forth. It's awesome.
Camille and her husband moved to Lake Orion in 2001 and has been offering skincare products and services for 16 years. She has been at this location on Shadbolt in downtown Lake Orion for about 10 months now. You can visit autumnmoonbeauty.com to book an appointment.
I offer a holistic skincare program here, which includes botanical facials. I'm 100% natural products. I do also body waxing, and I specialize in oncology facials, which are specific treatments for people who are actively going through cancer treatment or post-cancer treatment.
Coming up on the Chamber's calendar of events is the annual Impact Awards, where business leaders are recognized for their efforts in the community. The event is scheduled to take place on Wednesday, December 6th at Paint Creek Country Club. For more information, visit orionareachamber.com. Well, as if the Orion Township Fire Department doesn't do enough in the community, they recently hosted an event that acted as a fundraiser for a local organization. On the morning of Saturday, October 7th, approximately 50 runners and walkers gathered at Fire Station 1 in downtown Lake Orion for the start of the first annual Run with Fire 5K run and walk. Participants made their way to the starting line in front of the Orion Arts Center as a steady rain came down. At 9 a.m., the race was underway.
It came about just a fundraising idea to help the Goodfellows of Orion Township. That's a group within the fire department that they help needy families every year at the holiday season.
Oh, that's terrific. So a 5K, how'd you come up with the idea for a 5K?
5K is a nice little fun run. You know, it's 3.1 miles. It's, you know, it's not a 10K, 6 miles or a half marathon. It's a nice little run.
It was the first event of its kind to take place on the new extension connecting the path to the Paint Creek Trail. Medals were awarded in various age groups, and trophies were given to the top male and female runners and the top firefighter. Finishing first overall was Lake Orion resident Matt Shell with a time of 23:06. What made you want to take part in this Fireman 5K today?
Oh, to help raise money for the firemen and just to run a local race.
Do you do this on a regular basis? Do you take part in other 5Ks throughout the year?
No, this is the first 5K I've done. I do a lot of half marathons and a few full marathons.
Oh, cool. What were the conditions like out there? I mean, the weather wasn't great.
Yeah, it was a little wet, but it's a great trail, the Paint Creek Trail. So.
The 5K race was scheduled in October to coincide with Fire Prevention Month activities. For more information on other planned events, contact the Orion Township Fire Department by calling 248-391-0304 extension 2000. Lake Orion isn't exactly Hollywood, but recently the community was the setting for a supernatural thriller that is filming in the area. On Friday, September 29th, a crowd of angry protesters assembled at the steps of Village Hall. But don't worry, the rage subsided as soon as the director yelled cut. The crowd was made up of extras and were taking part in a scene from a movie being filmed right here in Lake Orion.
We love Lake Orion. The village is amazing. The people are amazing. I mean, the geography is amazing. The beauty of all the buildings and the heritage that this suburban location in southeastern Michigan has kind of had, and we're just loving showcasing it.
Lake Orion Police Chief Jerry Narsh has been acting as a consultant and also has a role in the film as, you guessed it, the police chief.
So we met about a year and a half ago, and at that time it was at an opening for another film. He approached me and he said that he had a film in mind and he needed a police department in a Midwest town to shoot it in, and I said, yeah, let's talk. So about 6 months ago he called and talked about the script and talked about how they wanted Lake Orion to be in that movie. And of course, we look at that as a tremendous opportunity for our businesses, for our town, a lot of our landmarks. So what a wonderful opportunity to participate. So we said, yeah.
In the film, police officers investigate a series of crimes that may have supernatural origins. The culprit may be the Nain Rouge, a mythical figure that, according to legend, has appeared just prior to tragic events in the Detroit area, dating all the way back to the 1700s.
Antoine Delamotte Cadillac, founder of Detroit, back in the late 1700s. And, you know, I mean, actually throughout the history of southeastern Michigan.
The Nain Rouge.
The Nain Rouge is acting up. You know, he's a creature that springs mayhem and carnage and chaos, and so, you know, there's a lot that's blamed on this creature in Detroit. That, you know, whether it be the Battle of Bloody Run and the riots and all this. You know, I mean, it's pure folklore, or is it? I don't know. I mean, but it's sort of like the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland, or the Chupacabra. You know, in Latin America. I mean, this is a figure that is, you know, it's our version of that. It's our version of Bigfoot. So Michigan and the Detroit area and southeastern Michigan, and, you know, gets to have its own folklore and its own myth. And this legend is going to be fantastic to bring to life.
Virginia native Jesse Jensen stars as the Lake Orion police officer investigating the crimes, alongside an undercover officer played by Detroit area native Amar Nemo.
Oh, it's been amazing. I've had the honor of working with the LOPD and Jerry Narsh, the chief. And, you know, my military background, I was in the Army National Guard, did help a little bit, but there was so much about the officer training that has put so much realism in the film, and that is invaluable. It really is.
It means everything. You know, I always wanted to work with Sam. I worked with him before when he first started out. I've been acting since I was 18 on and off. And we've been talking about this film for the past 2 years, you know, to get me in it and to get my friend in it, Nathan. And finally, you know, we finally did it. And this man, Sam, knows how to shoot. I call him Sam Bay. Michael Bay, he's Sam Bay. This guy knows how to shoot, he knows how to edit. He knows how to do everything. He's a real artist. He has an eye for all this kind of stuff, and I can't wait till everybody sees it. It's going to be awesome.
Nain Rouge, scene 26A, take 4. And action!
Chief Narsh has been working with Jessie during the filming to help her nail the nuances of being a police officer. He told us her performance is pretty authentic.
Well, actually, Jessie is not only an amazing actor, but she's become an incredible police officer, to the extent that people in town actually think she's one of our new officers.
I actually fooled one of the other actors on set one time. He was like, "How long have you been an officer?" I said, "I'm not."
She's going to pull you over, and you're going to love it.
The movie will continue filming in and around Lake Orion through the end of November. Following a period of post-production, including Nain Rouge special effects, producers are hoping the movie will be released in theaters in 2019. Each year, the Lake Orion Dragons varsity football team does battle with their crosstown rivals, the Oxford Wildcats, in the battle for the 00 trophy. The two teams recently went head-to-head. Who came out on top? ONTV's Kevin McCormick has the highlights.
On the evening of Friday, October 6th, the Oxford Wildcats hosted the Dragons in the annual battle for the 00 trophy. It was a sultry night in Oxford as a mist hung over the blue turf of Wildcat Stadium. It was a defensive battle throughout the first quarter, however. Here, Oxford quarterback Parker Fleming's pass intended for Caleb Tabor is intercepted by Marcus Brown, who returns it to the Oxford 20-yard line. The Dragons' drive stalled in the first quarter and ended with neither team scoring anything. The Dragons did manage to get on the scoreboard first thanks to a Parker Bluss field goal that made the score 3-0 in the second quarter. But with 3 minutes left in the first half, the Dragons had the ball on their own 31. Quarterback Blaze Lauer throws a screen pass to Casey Staranek, who streaks down the sideline to the Oxford 48 for a gain of 21 yards. 2 plays later, facing a 3rd and 10, Lauer drops back, hits a wide open Pierceburg, who's touched down at the Oxford 16-yard line. On the next play, Dylan Frank goes 5 yards to the 11. 2 plays later, Lauer finds Johnny Haggett in the corner of the end zone for a 9-yard touchdown. The PAT was good, and the Dragons find themselves up 10-0 in the first half. The Dragons then get the ball first to start the second half, and on 1st and 10 from the 20, Dylan Frank takes the handoff, breaks tackle, and rumbles to the Oxford 42 for a gain of 38 yards. The Dragons' drive continued all the way to the Oxford 5-yard line, and on 3rd and goal, Tylen Veteran takes the handoff, turns the corner, and he makes it into the end zone, giving the Dragons a 17-0 lead. On the ensuing drive, the Wildcats have the ball on their own 24. On 1st and 10, Fleming tries to hand the ball off to Marcus Huffnagel, but Dustin Solokowski breaks it up. Ball hits the turf, fumble. Chris Cade scoops it up and takes it into the end zone. The Dragons take an impressive 24-0 lead over the Wildcats. Oxford can't make anything happen on their next drive, and they're forced to punt. The Dragons start the next drive on Oxford's 36-yard line. On 1st and 10, Dylan Frank takes the handoff, goes untouched into the end zone for a 36-yard score, and now it's officially a blowout. Lake Orion 31, Oxford 0. The Wildcats finally managed to get on the scoreboard in the 4th quarter. With Joey Miller under center, he hands the ball off to Caleb Tabert, who just barely breaks the plane for the Wildcats' first touchdown of the game. Oxford added one more score on this Miller TD pass to Matthew Curtis, but it was too little too late, and the Lake Orion Dragons take home the 00 trophy for the 2nd year in a row. Nice job, Dragons. With the loss, the Wildcats fall to a 1-6 overall record, while the Dragons improve to 2-5. Next up, the Dragons will travel to arch rival Clarkson next Friday the 13th to take on the 5-2 Wolves. In Oxford, this is Kevin McCormick reporting for ONTV Sports.
Thanks, Kevin. And with that, we'll wrap up this edition of ONTV News. On behalf of the hardworking ONTV News team, I'm Joe Johnson. Thanks for watching.